It might be a different day, but some traditions never change. Happy Sunday, everyone.
Happy
Sunday.
Sunday.
Hello, everyone. God, it's so good to have you all back. And hello, colleagues. If you are new, welcome. We're absolutely thrilled to have you as part of the office. And if you're returning, God, we've missed you. It's been far too long, even since our Icewind Dale three-parter. And we're really thrilled to be back. And wherever you are in the world, whether you're watching or whether you're listening, thank you so much for joining us for the very first episode of our second season. This is also our first episode on Twitch, so there may be a couple of teething problems, but hopefully we will ride all of those out. All of our usual suspects are here. We have Diani, we have Jess, we have Catherine, Billy, Michael, and we also have me. Unfortunately, I'm still carrying over as well. But we had such a wonderful first year, and so much of that has been down to your incredible support. So before we begin, we do have a couple of thanks in order. With us since the beginning of our campaign, the assistant dungeon managers on Patreon, the incredible Graham Muir and the wonderful Rory O'Sullivan. Thank you so much for being with us throughout this entire journey. And speaking of Patreon, our brand new patrons, Nina Olig-Schläger and Noah Schaefers. Thank you so much for joining us. And another thank you as well to Chloe Masheter over at Adventurers Wanted, tripping over my own tongue. You can catch their Forsaken campaign on Mondays on Twitch, but a special shout out to Chloe for giving lots of really helpful advice on how to use Twitch. Hopefully I'm able to employ some of that today. Also, our brand new intro, which you will see in just a moment. A huge thank you to Jordan Dean and the fine folks over at Fishbowl Film for putting that together for us. It's awesome. You're awesome. Thank you so much. And also to the person without whom the tone of this entire campaign probably wouldn't be possible, for our soundtrack, our theme, our music, for generally just being a presence in our lives. Thank you to Peter Flint. You are an incredible human being, and we love you so very much. And also to our artists for our character art and our Patreon art. Thank you to Imogen Scoppy and to Evo DeJager. You can see more of their stuff on this stream, but also on our Patreon. Go check it out if you would like to. It'll be really useful. But very exciting first, you can't really see because we're in individual windows, but we are all wearing some rather exciting t-shirts and hoodies and such. And so for the first time, I will pass us over to well-known lover of public speaking, Catherine, to introduce our brand new affiliate.
Oh, Lord. Right. Let me just get my notes. Greeting. Have you heard of Zavi? I am here to tell you about Zavi's new Dungeons & Dragons line of clothing and other items, such as these. Point.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Receive your discount by using our unique Dungeon Manager codes, Dungeon 10 and Dungeon 20. If, like me, you have trouble remembering short, easily digestible information, here's a handy acronym. This week's acronym is brought to you by dinosaurs. Diplodocus. Utah Raptor, Neovenator, Gigantosaurus, Eustereptor spondylus, Ornitholestis, and Nipponosaurus. I know I will find it easier to remember now. Laughter. Seriously, though, use Dungeon 10 for 10% off the whole site, Dungeon 20 for 20% off clothing, and you can see the whole range at the link in the description.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm crying. That was so funny.
That was amazing.
Thank you, Catherine.
Never again.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Zavi, as well. As Catherine says, check out all the links in the description below. Not only will using those codes give you a lovely discount on all their stuff, but it'll help us out as well. And a final thank you to Wizards of the Coast, as ever, for helping promote our content. You're wonderful. We love you, folks. You're great. Now, before we begin, there might be a few of you who've never played D&D before, so a quick rundown of what the game entails. So Dungeons & Dragons is a role-playing game where you assume the role of a character of your creation. You choose their background, you choose their class, you choose their abilities, what they're good at, what they love, what they fear, and you steer your character through decisions. They could be riddles, encounters, combat, and to ascertain your victories and, as history has shown us, our occasional losses, you roll dice to dictate how successful you are, and guiding you through the world, describing everywhere you go, embodying the characters and creatures that you meet, is a dungeon master, which is the role I will be playing this evening. But no one around the table is any more important than the other. It is collaborative storytelling and escapism at its finest through community. And if you want to follow our own stories of escapism, you can follow us on our brand new Twitch channel. It would be much appreciated. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And if you're new to Dungeon Manager, and this is your first episode, don't worry, we're going to try and make this as accessible a jumping point as possible. But if you do want to catch up on our old episodes, including our one-shots and our recent 3-parter set in Icewind Dale, you can do so by following us and subscribing on YouTube. And if podcasting is more your scene, you can also find us on iTunes, Spotify, and Podbean. And I believe that's the end of the announcements. So I'm really nervous. I haven't done this in a very long time. So join us as we step out of the office, away from work, and once more into the world of Dungeon Manager. The age of heroes has passed. In the many years since the Great Reckoning, a cataclysmic event now long forgotten, tales and stories of mighty warriors have become just that, myth and legend. Where once there were champions fighting for justice, peace and equality, now there is only government. The Lord's Alliance, a conglomerate of cities ruling over the continent of Faerun in loose cooperation with each other. These are the people who dictate the many realms of Faerun. Monarchs, nobles, judges, and politicians. Heroes are gone, and hope has died with them. We begin along the Sword Coast. At the centre of our map stands Waterdeep, the great coastal bastion, city of splendours and crown of the north. Where once it was considered the sole hub of trade and business, it is now surpassed by its sister city to the south, Baldur's Gate, a bustling metropolis of prosperity and deep-seated corruption. To the wintry north, beyond the settlements of Neverwinter and Luskan, sits the mighty floating sovereign city of Kometstadt, and its sister town Grubendorf, ruled through uneasy alliance between the lords still loyal to the empty throne. The disquiet within its walls threatens to have irreparable political and religious ramifications on the wider region. To the east lies the High Forest, impenetrable woodland inhabited by dangerous wildlife and gorgeous fauna, guarded over by the rangers of the forest. And further east still, beyond the Grey Peak Mountains and past the deep moor itself, sequestered in hidden rock, sits hidden the home of the once great dragonborn clan, Eshtak. Shrouded in secrecy, reports reach the Lord's Alliance that this is the epicenter of a great dragonborn civil war, as various clans vie for supremacy, and Eshtak is almost extinguished. And in the skies overhead, the moon and the stars continue their rotation around the planet. The night sky's constellations weaving countless stories of champions throughout the ages, and from their observatories, scholars await eagerly the arrival of a shooting star, one the academics have named Amaryllis. And through all this, the seasons are changing. Marpanoth is coming to an end, and the rotting month of Uktar is almost upon the land. The air along the coast is cold, and icy winds whip through naked trees, their dried leaves dead upon the ground under a grave of snow. This is the land in which we find ourselves. A landscape torn apart by petty squabbling, the possibility of war perpetually threatening to bubble to the surface. Warbands and rogues run wild through town and city alike, and the common people continue to suffer. It is a land in need of hope. And in the middle of this, we find a band of adventurers. We find Zini, a dragonborn raised amongst the ranges of the High Forest, exploring the wider world with her trusty rhino companion, having left behind her red panda, confusingly also called Rudigan, and magical abilities that are spiraling increasingly out of her control. The chef, Scarlet, a shifter with Wolfen ancestry and unparalleled magical potential, running away from a past that she does not care to discuss, but may be faced with sooner than she thinks. The mysterious tiefling, Oriana, a paladin following in the footsteps of one called Azil, haunted by family memories that threaten to drag her down and plagued by visions of a dark, bloodied blossom tree atop a snowy mountain. The dwarven fighter, Dalfar, come to Faerun from his homeland overseas in search of a lost artifact, a war axe named Snaga, capable of defeating entire armies and leveling mountains, stolen from him by an elf named Laris Fey. And Terra, a brawler with earth-like skin and a strength to match it, a woman who seeks to leave behind her history with the crime family known as the Skinners, now seemingly on a mission of her own, answering only to a mysterious white raven. In your time together, you have experienced much. Meeting in the military outpost of Geshfort, a fortress presided over by Lord Porteous Brecht and his Knights of the Birch, a fortress now blackened and burned thanks to Scarlet's particular brand of magic. You travelled to Zini's home village of Voldhaven, rescuing children from the dread Anis hag Mama Loretta. You travelled to the city of Waterdeep, meeting the information broker Gatis Filcham and discovering an alliance between criminal families along the Sword Coast, an operation called the Underground Coastal Route. But perhaps more importantly, you discovered the existence of an organisation hailing from Cometstadt known simply as the First Church. Recruiting lords and nobles from across the continent, they wish to usurp the Lord's alliance for the betterment of Faerun's people, to rescue them from corruption, from poverty, from injustice. And to do so, in alliance with an elf by the name of Ikreth Mal, they require an armament they hoped to find in Candlekeep. And following this lead, you travel southwards, leading to an eventful stay in the city of Baldur's Gate. You met the decibel-defying Granny Fungus, the proprietor of your local tavern. You assisted a group of adventurers known as the Old Guard. You solved a series of murders perpetrated by a cult calling themselves the Marrowborn. You worked briefly with the boss of the Undercellar, Aurora Candlewick. And Scarlet, you made a nemesis for life in rival chef Hutan Beaucheur. And Terra, you were reunited with several figures from your past, all now living free from the tyranny of the Skinners. And eventually, tailing Ikreth Mal and another ally of the First Church, High Librarian Ostafar Gate, you discovered exactly what it was they were after: the blueprints to something called a spelljammer. And so, leaving Baldur's Gate, you now head northwards. You have a head start of several days on Ikreth Mal, maybe more, who even now travels to Waterdeep. And that is not to say the journey has been entirely without complication. You're attacked by a figure from Oriana's past, a man named Eli Fife, a figure who has dredged up only more questions for you, Oriana. And finally, Zini was visited by a falcon, sent to her by her mentor, Ishid, wounded by an arrowhead and with a mysterious note attached to her leg. A note you have yet to share with your friends, but one that will likely have ramifications that none of you can possibly imagine. The Age of Heroes is over, but though one chapter has finished, another has begun. This is a new age, an age of hope, one of battle, of magic, of war, deception, life, death, love and loss, family, of kingdoms and of people, of dungeons and of dragons. But our story begins somewhat smaller. It begins with the sound of the wind. Leaves on the wind and the sway of the trees. The rustle of the grass and the stretching of roots. The whisper of the earth. These sounds and more caress you in your sleep, calmly keeping you company, until eventually you are roused peacefully from your sleep. And as you sit up, Michael, would you like to give us your character's name, describe their appearance, and their preferred personal pronouns?
My character's name is Zini. She is a 6'2" black dragonborn with bronze scales that run over her nose and eyes. She has molten bronze eyes as well, and rather unusually for a dragonborn, she has black feathers that run over the back of her head, not unlike hair. She wears studded leather armor that is a little bit tattered and grey, and she has a bow slung over her back and 2 short swords at her side. She also has her pet companion, the colossal Rodigan II, at her side, and her pronouns are her, she.
So, Mizini, as you sit up, you take in your surroundings. It is still dark, though you can see the slivers of pink sunrise coming over the horizon. It has been another day of travel since Eli's attack on you all, and you are currently sat on a small hill next to the edge of a small wood, and you can see some horses hitched against a fallen tree, including Oriana's mount, Epona, a strange ghostly facsimile of the other creatures, a skeleton covered in mist. It's a sight you have unfortunately and uncomfortably become quite accustomed to. But as you look around, you see that snow has fallen over the wide open fields and the once green grassland that stretches out for miles, punctuated occasionally by tall trees, long since having shed their loads. The air is calm, however. No snow falls, and the moon, though low in the sky, shines over everything. And despite all of this, you're struck by how warm it is. And you look up, and a translucent orange dome is around the entire campsite. And within this bubble, lying beside you, you see 2 of your companions sleeping peacefully on the long since melted snow. One of them sleeps with their red chef's hat pulled down over their face, snoring softly, and purring peacefully, curled up in a ball next to her, is a small, somewhat pudgy, 6-legged black cat with a sort of faux diamante collar and squid-like appendages curled around her diminutive figure, though getting larger by the day as she purrs and twitches as she no doubt runs in her dreams. And next to both of them, there is another figure, much smaller in stature, and with heavy woolen bed sheets pulled tightly around their form. And lying on the ground next to them, you see a double-handed mithril axe. Your other 2 companions, however, are nowhere to be seen.
Can I look around for them?
Yeah, absolutely. You sort of turn, and as you crick your back and look over your shoulder, you see Rodigan. Rodigan is sat around 10 feet off, lying in the snow, with the snow sort of coming up to so it sort of hides his legs. And you can see perched on top the latest member of your group, Lucy, the Sheed's falcon, looking much better than she did when she initially came to you. Her wings work and she stands poised, looking out on the horizon. But next to Rudigan, you see another figure sitting in the snow. Diani, would you like to give us your character's name, describe their appearance and their preferred personal pronouns, please?
So, her name is Oriana, and she is, well, it's she, her, obs. She is relatively tall for a female, about 5'9". She has bluish, purplish coloured skin, stark white hair. She has horns, kind of like a ram's, that kind of curl backwards over her head. Athletic build, and otherwise, aside from, you know, the weird coloured skin and the ram horns and the white hair and everything, relatively normal looking, although she does have around her wrists some bandages. That's probably the one thing that you would notice at first.
So, Zini, you see Oriana sat out in the snow outside the warmth of the bubble you're currently in. She has a cough.
I shrug and kind of snuggle in the dome because it's very cold outside and I don't like the cold.
Okay. Oriana, as you sit cross-legged in the snow, you look down at your hands, and resting in your palms is the symbol you tore from Eli's neck before you left. It is the same as the one around your own. And you sit and you look. And as you look out over the horizon, you can see the sun slowly beginning to make its ascent. Is there anything you want to do while you sit on watch?
Do I have any kind of understanding as to why he would have this symbol?
Make an Arcana check for me.
Okay. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay.
First roll of the season.
Let's get the bad rolls out of the way. That'll be a 6.
6. You do not know. You know that it is the symbol of Azil, and it is the one that you have carried with you since the beginning of your journey, looking for this individual that you seek. But why someone else would have this, let alone someone like Eli, it is impossible to tell.
Okay, I'll just continue looking out at the horizon.
Okay. As you do so, and Zini, you notice this figure leave the bubble as well, but you hear her from behind you, Oriana, and as you turn, you see the slightly pudgy Juliet walking forwards with her 6 legs sort of picking up in the snow, sort of shaking little bits of moisture off her, and her squid arms sort of moving above, tasting the air. She walks over to you and pushes her head against you, little folds of fat sort of bloop, bloop, bloop over your arm as she does so, and she just sits next to you.
I look vaguely uncomfortable.
And as Juliet leaves the bubble, Zini, you see one of your companions slowly take their chef's hat and pull it back over their head. Jess, would you like to give us your character's name, their appearance, and their preferred personal pronouns, please?
I definitely can. I almost forgot to unmute myself then. That would have been some amazing watching and listening. So I play Scarlet. Her pronouns are she, her. I would say she pretty much looks human. She's about average height. I'm really bad at scaling numbers, so she's not tall or short. you'd be like, oh, that's a perfectly normal person. And she's got dark long hair, quite dark eyes as well. She is a long-tooth shifter, which I basically always describe as like a werewolf, but shittier. So there's no like full Van Helsing style rip transformation. It's much subtler than that. If you look close, even when she's sort of like in her human form, her teeth might maybe a little bit too sharp. Her nails are interestingly, and maybe her eyes are a little bit yellow, but yeah, she doesn't look all that bestial, especially as she is usually in a chef's garb because she is a chef. She's also a wizard, but with like a capital W, because I'm 100% original, and nobody has ever done a wizard chef before.
Why would you say it that way?
No, I just like the idea. And then when I was like, we were going to film it, I was like, maybe I should change. And I looked at my backstory, and no joke, it's all chef. Like, could you be a painter? Oh God, no, I made too much of this about cooking.
It's chef all the way down.
So, as 100% chef Scarlet works, you see Zini across from you, sort of huddled underneath blankets, but nevertheless very much awake and enjoying the warmth. And you see your other companion lying next to you. And just in the centre, there is the pot that you set up the previous day over a now sort of burnt out fire.
I'm going to get to start on breakfast because that's very important.
Lovely. I won't make you roll for that because, as we've previously established, Scarlet's meals are amazing. So, so Zini, as you lie there, eventually the aroma of food starts to fill the bubble. And then, like one of those hard chocolate balls you get for desserts that you pour melted chocolate over, the orange translucent bubble just slowly starts to melt away. There is a sudden chill to the air, which is helped somewhat by the fire that Scarlet has set up. But as the chill begins to get in, it wakes the other member of your party. Billy, would you like to give us your character name, describe their appearance, and preferred personal pronouns, please?
My character is a dwarf standing at a staggering 5 foot tall. So a very tall dwarf. The name is Daggerford, and Daggerford is a very if you were to imagine the kind of friend that makes slightly bad jokes but will always most likely be there for you even though at your worst possible times, that's Daggerford. And he normally has sort of stark white hair, long put into braids into the in a beard, but at the moment it is dyed black due to previous adventures, and pronouns are he, him.
So, Daggerford, you wake, and the cold is something that, while you've become accustomed to since travelling to Faerun, it's still quite uncomfortable, especially lying on the ground. And you sit up and you see Scarlet over by the cauldron, and you can see Zini a little way off as well, and Oriana as well, sort of 10 feet away, but you are all but one met.
Morning already? Well, Daggerford just gets up and starts stretching.
And the smell of food continues as it is eventually brought to boil.
I will start plating it up. At this point, do I notice that I can't see Tara?
I would say, yeah, you've been cooking for long enough to sort of take everyone in, and yes, Tara is not there.
I don't know where I am either.
The mystery of role playing. I will bring. Who's closest to me?
I would say probably Daggerford, sort of waking up pretty much immediately next to the food.
I will bring Daggerford his breakfast first and go, "Morning, Daggerford."
Scarlet, sleep well?
as well as you can in a magical bubble. You haven't seen Terra this morning, have you?
Daggerford looks around to see if he can find any sign of terror.
Okay, make a perception check.
Is this your way of writing me out of the game?
Yeah, you got murdered in the night. It was very dramatic.
Season 2, episode 1, the last episode.
What was that, sorry, Bill?
13.
13. You look around and you take in the horizon as moonlight slowly gives way to the pinky glow of morning, stretching out across the snow. And you look to the Mount, and Epona, and Rudigan, and the new falcon, Lucy. And as you look to the trees where you made camp for the night, you can see vague movement in the distance. And as you do so, Catherine, would you like to give us your character's name, their appearance, and their personal pronouns, please?
Okay, so I'm playing Terra, and she uses she/her pronouns. She appears to be sort of human, but she has skin that is kind of muddy and cracked and dirt-like, I guess. And she has brown hair with a bit on the side that's sort of shaved roughly into an undercut. And she carries a big sword. It's particularly shiny, and she has a shield and sort of leatherish outfit and a cloak and lots of little bags and things like that. And I imagine by now she probably carries, like, hooked onto a belt, this white sort of porcelain-esque mask just off to the side somewhere.
So, Terra, as you wander through the woods, you look over through the trees back towards campsite, and you can see that the once opaque dome, grey from the outside, has now disappeared, and your friends, your companions, are currently serving up breakfast. And you turn back to why you came to the woods in the first place. A white raven sits on a nearby branch, looking at you with a pink eye.
I haven't engaged with it yet then, presumably.
No, not yet.
Okay, so I'm gonna just cast a quick glance back to the others, check that nobody is looking, and then wander over to the raven and see if there's anything interesting.
There is a note around its leg.
Can I have it?
You can. I will send you what it says.
Oh, no physical ones.
Sorry.
That's so sad.
Everything's digital now.
Okay.
I miss the days when we sat around a table and I'd
I know.
give you
I
little
still have
rolled up
my
bits of
folder
paper.
with all of the paperwork in.
You two are sat around the
I know.
table.
I know,
There's
but
no excuse.
I can't print stuff off at work.
It's a digital raven. That's what.
Yeah. So it sort of proffers its leg to you, and you pluck the note from it. And as it looks at you, it just sort of bobs its head up and down, waiting to see if anything else is required of it.
I quickly scan the note, like I'm doing right now, and then just sort of wave it away.
It gives a close approximation to a nod and just and flies off through the trees and off over the horizon.
Can I have a minute to write this down?
You can. So, while this is happening, Scarlett, you are serving breakfast around. Is there anything that you're all wanting to do, discuss before you head off on the next leg of your journey northwards?
Out of game, can we just clarify where we're going, who's going where, and stuff like that?
Yeah, like, where are we?
So, it is, like I say, another day since you were attacked by Eli, and you're all heading vaguely north along the Sword Coast. Dalafar was particularly eager to cut Ikreth off at the pass. And luckily, with having set off as quickly as you did and being helped by Joanne, one of Terra's allies back in Baldur's Gate, you have more than a number of days head start on Ikreth. But you are simply heading up the Sword Coast.
But is there a more precise location where we are on the Sword Coast as well?
I would say for you, Zini, being familiar as you are with the area, you would know that you are roughly a day's journey away from the small town of Daggerford.
Okay.
Have we been there before?
You have not, no.
Okay.
And Daggerford itself is around a day's journey away from Waterdeep.
Okay.
So, after scanning your note, Terra, what are you doing?
Finding I'm probably gonna just quietly sidle up to the camp and try and make it look like I was there all along.
Make a performance check.
Oh, not stealth. I probably don't have very good performance, let's be honest. Oh, it's not too bad. Well, 21.
You sort of sidle in and, no one knows. Yes.
My passive is 21.
Passive for performance?
No, for perception. I would think I might spot that you're returning to the camp.
But I didn't roll a stealth check.
Yeah, but I think we noticed that you weren't there.
You definitely notice her coming back, but in terms of why this might be, she is, very implacable, as she often is. So you're all met back at the campsite.
I immediately give Terra some breakfast.
Thanks, Scarlet. And I'll sit and eat it.
Mm-hmm. It is uniformly very, very good.
Are we all sat around the campfire now? Sorry.
I assume so, unless anyone's pointedly not.
I think I go to Zini and ask, how's the falcon?
He's holding up okay, I think.
Just nod and continue eating.
Mm-hmm. So, is there anything anyone wants to do before they set off on the next leg of the journey?
No.
No.
Okay. So, packing up, you have been travelling lightly. So, this is a relatively quick process, but you collect your mounts. Oriana, you once more get on the back of Epona, and Zini, you either ride or walk with Rudigan, leading the way, knowing as you do these lands and the lay of them. To continue going north. The winds are cold, and the trees that you see along the way, with the exception of evergreens, are all naked and stretching towards the sky. It is cold, and Zini, you feel this more than most. But as you continue on, Juliet serves as an impromptu scarf around your neck, Scarlet, and you start to feel a bit of an ache in your neck after a while. She's a big girl now. But you continue on, and after around a day of travel, you eventually see in the distance a small town. The sun by this stage is starting to set. It is getting near the end of the day. And ahead of you, built on a hill by the bank of what you would know to be the Delimbir River, Zini, sits a small walled town. It is Daggerford. A squat moat stretches around its wall with a stone bridge stretching over this through to the town's gatehouse. And over the town's ramparts, as you start to get closer, you can see a couple of snow-covered roofs and warmly wrapped militia patrolling the town walls, as well as a small castle with red tiling on a hilltop, flying high the flag of Daggerford, a bloodied silver dagger on a field of blue. And on the bank, you can see there is a small dock of around 3 jetties, each with small fishing boats bobbing in the water. And after the towering skylines of Waterdeep and Baldur's Gate, there is something somewhat refreshing about how positively humble this is in comparison. But you are arriving in Daggerford as you continue along the road.
What time of day was it again?
So given that it's increasingly getting towards the winter months, it's probably getting to around 5, 6 o'clock by your estimation.
How do we all feel about staying here for the night?
I think that's a wise choice. We don't want to be traveling.
I'll never say no to an actual bed.
True.
Probably be faster in the morning if I was warmer during the night.
Okay. Has anyone been here before?
Not that I recall.
Oh, we can't hear you, Billy.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Quick, tell us all about Daggerford.
I just said not that Daggerford records.
Okay, well, shall we find an inn?
Yeah.
Ed, I don't think I have ever been here, but do I know of Daggerford by reputation at all, or...?
Make a history check for me.
That is an 8.
8. You don't know much about it. Your time in Voldhaven dealt primarily with the High Forest and the surrounding regions. This is quite a bit further south from the High Forest, maybe around a day's journey. So you haven't heard much about it. You have met with travellers who were passing through the High Forest, and indeed Voldhaven, who had been to Daggerford. Also, the gnome bard that you met, Spinwin Tumblenock, he mentioned that he was originally from Daggerford. The extent... the extent of your specific knowledge about it, though, Zini, while you don't necessarily know to what extent, you know that the Knights of the Birch, those positioned in Geshford, their autonomy and their reach is as far as here. And you don't know how much that might be the case anymore, especially with how you left Geshford, but there may be some possibility of coming across them.
I just say to everybody, just keep your eyes open for some of the twig pots, the knights who might have influence here.
Do they have a distinctive look about them?
They usually wear their symbol quite prominently. They're quite proud of their status.
That will help. Okay, we'll all keep our eyes out.
Daggerford puts the hood up as well.
Zini's hood is always up in this weather.
Same.
If you all recall, I dyed my chef's hat from white to red because I had an identity crisis.
Yeah.
I feel like that works as a perfect disguise.
The Clark Kent of disguises.
Yeah.
Scarlett's learned so much from Terra.
So, as you begin to approach Daggerford, and Zini, Lucy is sat on your shoulder, and occasionally you sort of pass little morsels of game that you've been catching along the way up to her, which she takes in her talon and just sort of pecks away at. But you eventually cross the bridge and through the gates of Daggerford to the town within. And it's very pleasant. Very simple. The buildings themselves are no more than 2-story in height. They're wattle and daub buildings with slate roofing and dark oak timber with muddy snow paths traced between them. And for such a small town, it is surprisingly busy. You get a sense that this is probably something of a market town, especially being as prominent as it is, both along the river but also along the road, especially towards Waterdeep. But you see a few carts and tarpaulin-covered stalls lining the streets, and as you get further into the town, you come into a large, wide-open dirt square marketplace surrounded by squat buildings. The ground is churned up with hooffall and footsteps, and sitting in the centre there's a fairly small stone well with an iron-wrought arch above it and notice boards stuck in the ground next to it. And you can see that a few of the carts and stalls you saw earlier are surrounding the edge, and you can see horses hitched at various intervals. But looking as you are for an inn, and it doesn't take very long, it is, like I say, a fairly small town, you see a fairly large two-storey building with cross-hatched glass windows and wooden beams jutting out of cream walls and underneath red terracotta roof tiling. And a sign hangs outside with the words Lady Luck Tavern and the image of a veiled lady carrying a shining golden chalice.
Well, at least there's no horseshoe on it.
I have been keeping an eye out just in case anybody notices our arrival or if there's anybody suspicious about things.
Yeah, sure, make a perception check for me. 16. No one seems to be paying you much notice. You see that many of the citizens are wrapped up warmly. The cold is oncoming and the winter months are drawing in. You see a couple of the local militia. They're dressed in fairly standard brown leather armour, and each of them have halberds and swords, but no one seems to pay you any mind. Entry into the town is fairly free-flowing by the looks of it, but no one that looks particularly suspicious to your eyes.
Cool. I just hurry over to the tavern.
Lovely. Okay. Are you all following?
We are.
Yeah.
I am. Speak for the group, you know.
So there are places to hitch your horses, which you do so. And entering the Lady Luck Tavern, Zini, you notice immediately the sheer amount of noise. It is a raucous crowd, wide open wooden space with booths around the edges. It's populated by rectangular wooden tables of, it has to be said, quite varying cleanliness. There are iron-wrought chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, and you can see off in the corner, occasionally dodging shouts and the odd empty tankard. There is a minstrel playing a lute off to one side, desperately trying to be heard against the din, and not doing a very good job of it.
I just roll my eyes at the minstrel and head to the bar.
Lovely. Okay. What are the rest of you doing?
Finding a nice clean table.
Yeah.
You sort of look around and you're able to find one which is recently vacated. There are a couple of sort of mug-stained circles on its surface, but a quick sort of brush down probably gets rid of the worst of it. So, Zini, as you approach the bar, you see behind it there is a slightly overweight white tiefling, bushy black moustache and sort of quite tall horns behind his head, and he turns round and says, "Welcome to the Lady Luck Tavern, how can I help you?"
Hi, do you have any rooms?
Room and board is it you're looking for? Absolutely. We do have rooms. How many is it you'd be wanting?
6, a small cat, and a falcon, and a rhinoceros.
Well, the animals are free. The rhinoceros might have to stay outside if that's all right.
Do you have like a stable or anything?
We do, just round the back. It's absolutely free for all tenants. Don't worry about that. So, rooms. Well, let me have a look here. We have 2 rooms with 4 beds apiece, so you can split that up between you however you'd care.
That works. There's 4 women and 1 man, so...
Absolutely. Well, 5 silver each for that. Would you be requiring any food or drink or anything like that at all?
Yeah, probably.
Wonderful. Well, you come over whenever you want anything, and we'll get it served over to you as soon as possible.
Well, could I just have a round of mead to start with, please?
Absolutely. That'll be 4 copper per mug, so let's make it an even silver.
Okay, so, maths-wise, is 5 silver each for the rooms?
5 silver each for the rooms, yeah.
So that would be a gold, and then how much silver for the...
Just 1 silver for the
So
room.
a gold and a silver, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why we play the game, the escapism of mathematics.
Yeah.
Okay, so can I just wave terror over please.
Yeah. So you see Zini waving at you from the bar.
Right, I'll stand up and make sure. Is everyone else sitting at the table? I want to make sure no one takes it.
Yeah, I'm guarding it with our
I
lives.
followed you, Tara, so I will stay at the table.
Great. Yeah, so I'll head over.
Could you help me carry the drinks? Because I can only carry 4 at most.
Yeah?
Thanks. That's all I needed.
Okay.
I mean, Tara, are you proficient in drink
carrying?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I would have tried to carry 5, but given my previous dexterity saving throws, it's not gone well.
So in this character moment of Zini relinquishing one of their tankards to
Just
Tara.
one.
2, I'll carry 3. I'll carry 3.
You make your way back over to the table. And Zini, as you're walking, you take in the crowd around you. You can see just over in one of the corners, wearing black and white tabards with kettle helmets and swords by their side. You see 2 patrons, 2 individuals wearing the symbol of the birch on their front. And they are eating and they are laughing and drinking, and they're sat in the corner, not paying any mind to anything else around them, but you note them, nevertheless.
My grip tightens on the tankards, and a little bit of ale slips out of the one that I've got in one hand. But then I just try and keep on walking.
So you make your way back to the table, and you all have your first round of drinks in the Lady Luck Tavern in Daggerford.
And I make sure that I have the one that I spilled some from.
Presumably none of the rest of us have noticed these people.
Not yet, no.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
I was going to say happy Sunday, and I was like, I don't.
Happy Sunday.
Happy 7th day.
Yeah.
Didn't we discuss this and we tried to work out what the days of the week the 10-day were, and we couldn't find
1
them?
day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, Monday.
Yeah.
I got us rooms. Dal, you've got your own, and then the rest of us will be in one. And I hope that's okay.
Sure.
Does that mean it's cheaper for the rest of us?
Oh, I paid for them. I don't mind.
Oh, thanks.
I'm just going to nip outside and get Rudd into a stable, so I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, so as Zini leaves outside, the 4 of you, is there anything that you want to do while you wait?
Did you say it's what month did you say it is?
It's the 26th of Marpanoth, so it's coming towards the end of the month.
And then it's going to be
Uktar.
So I'll just turn to the others and go, did you know it's my birthday next month?
Daggerford just stops mid-sip and just looks around to see.
You hadn't shared that nugget of information with us, Tara. I will, and then suddenly she takes out her notebook. I will have to design a cake, and then suddenly I start sketching.
Just
I say nothing.
Daggerford smiles behind the cup and just continues to drink some mead.
How do you feel about chocolate?
chocolate.
I don't know what it's called in
Chocolatos.
It's chocolate now.
Fantasy chocolate. I don't. We've had chocolate before, haven't we? Because that was that time when Zini had chocolate.
And got super hyped.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always on the hunt.
Yeah.
I'll just glance out the door where Zini's just left and go, I think that some of us would like chocolate. Why are you asking?
You know, I mean, cake flavours are interesting. I could do something more fruity, lighter.
Cake flavours are interesting.
Indeed, I could write a whole book on the subject.
Do you like cakes as well?
Yes, I mean, I'm usually drawn to the more savoury side of cooking, I won't lie, but...
Can you have savoury cakes?
I suppose, technically speaking, yes. The icing's always a little bit of a pain, though. I saw one gentleman in Neverwinter try to make a cake with pate, and it was a gallant effort, but didn't quite work out.
I just lean over to Dalafar and go, "What? Why is she talking about cakes?"
Dalfa just sort of continues to glug loudly. He's not getting involved.
He's just thinking, this will help.
I feel like it's probably quite normal for Scarlet to just start talking about food.
Oh, we know it is.
Yeah,
There have been various
yeah.
instances where she's talked to Zini about it, and Zini's just like, yeah. Yeah.
So, as you sit there with Scarlet squirreling away in her book, and Juliet leaps up first on one of the seats and then starts to brave the table itself as she starts to just lap a little bit at the slightly damp surface of the table. Zini, you walk outside and you pass the mount that you came in on. Did you keep Epona still up, Oriana, or
I feel like that's a loaded question, Ed. I feel like you're trying to suggest a certain course of action to one of your players.
No, I'm really interested.
Yeah, I guess so, because I waste a spell slot if I have to summon her again, so yeah. And I think I'd enjoy people seeing her, so yeah.
So Zini, as you walk outside past the mounts and Epona, as she just in your direction, you walk over to Ruddigan, and you see a number of individuals. There's quite a crowd, definitely not on this side of the market, but very much on the other side, looking at this very strange menagerie of animals, especially the ghostly horse at their center. You see a little girl just start to... Moan just picks her up and goes, "Oh, shh, it's okay. But Ruddigan waits for you and just...
Come on, buddy. Come on, the rest of you. I'm gonna get you in the stable. Stop scaring people, Bone.
And the bone pone follows.
Yeah!
That sounds very rude.
Take that, Diani.
So you walk through the streets and you make your way to the stable towards the back. And as you do so, it is covered by tarpaulin and there's dry hay everywhere. And there are a few other horses here, hitched against posts and grazing away. And Ruddigan makes himself at home here as well, sitting down. As you stand there, sort of settling them all in, including Epona, and all of the horses sort of move towards the edge of the paddock as Epona sort of takes full reign of this very small space. You look around at the people, and they seem happy for the most part. They are wandering up and down, bartering with one another, selling their wares, catching up with one another. And as the light begins to go down, you can see that there are torches being lit down the streets and in people's windows. And as you begin to make your way back, you look over towards the gatehouse, and you see 3 figures on horseback start to ride in. They're wearing black and white tabards with the sign of the birch on their chest. And they ride in, paying almost no heed towards the people who are around them, and people have to part either side as they canter and gallop through the center of the street. And they're riding towards the market, and you can see that the one at their head has someone slung over the back of their mount. They have a hood over their head, and they're wearing fairly simple clothes, fairly simple leathers. But you see one very, very distinctive thing coming from out of their trousers. Let me rephrase that. You see a very distinctive...
Is it a bone bone?
It's a bone bone! Let me try that again.
No!
When you paused, I was like, why is he pausing?
I
It's
think
because I had a sudden realization.
And then you still said trousers.
I was like, what else can I possibly say?
britches.
Richard, as
This is Michael's fault.
so as you watch them riding, you see the one at the head has someone slung over the back of their horse, and you see that this individual has a black and white tail, a furry tail, and as they're bouncing up and down on the back of this horse, you can see as the hood begins to slip, a slight grazing around the neck where there is no fur. They ride off towards the marketplace. And that is likely the sound that this individual is making.
I mean, obviously, do they have a alive then?
They appear to be alive from what you can see, Zini.
I mean, I'm not there. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try and tell them.
Okay. So, you make your way.
Can I try and do it stealthily?
You can make a stealth check.
Can I cast Fast Without Trace?
You may.
Okay.
You could also let some villagers also be stealthy with that. There's none of us.
Stay close to me. Why? No reason. I'm not an assassin.
So, Zini, as you focus, as you have often done whenever you've tried to cast a spell recently, you focus on the ground around you, and you feel your claws in the mud itself, and you try and feel out the weave around you. And as you cast your spell, it works as intended.
Okay. So I just use the mistletoe ash and place it over my finger, over my lips, and then try and go. So that gives me plus 10. Okay, so 24.
Woo, 24, lovely. So you can follow, and you don't have to follow for long. You go round the back of the Lady Luck Tavern and you come into the grand wide open marketplace where people are now, the ghost horse has left, are starting to go about their business and starting to pack up for the night, as well as various stalls are closed. But around the well in the centre, the three knights on horseback ride round and slowly come to a stop. And one of them leaps off the horse and starts to walk over towards the Lady Luck Tavern as you watch from a distance. And inside, the rest of you sitting there, enjoying your drink, and Scarlet, having something of an epiphany when it comes to bakery. I think you are deep in thought as the rest of you drink. You hear a voice from the doorway as another knight of the Birch steps in and shouts towards some compatriots in the corner who you only now see. "We got another one, lads! Come on out!" And you see the two in the corner begin to stand, downing their drinks and making their way over to the exit.
How long has Zini been gone at the moment?
Probably around 15 minutes or so.
I think knowing Zini's proclivity to being Zini,
Hey!
in a nice way, relaxed, because we spent a lot of time together.
I mean, you nailed me, but hey!
What I was going to say was Daggerford begins to get a little bit worried. And
That's
because
fair.
the Knights of the Birch are all around, I sort of tap Terror without looking at Terror, and I give them a beat as they get to the door and go out after them.
The other two of you, Oriana and Scarlet, are you doing anything as they head off?
I didn't hear what Catherine said, but I assume she said, "I follow."
Yes.
I don't know if everybody else is using my computer.
Yeah, no, I didn't get her either for some reason.
Well, it should be coming through the same mic.
You're coming through now, that's weird.
Yeah.
It just lost you that once. I don't know why.
Oh, strange. I did get a thing saying the host would like you to unmute, and I was like, no, he doesn't.
Stay muted. I assume I would notice, even though I'm in like Kate Kevin. I assume I'm not that. I would probably notice.
Yeah.
Kate Kevin as a portmanteau would just be Kevin.
Oh! I love you, Kevin. No, I think I kind of look up. I look at Oriana going, Are we leaving?
I'm not really sure exactly what's happening.
Well, we should probably at least see what's going on.
I suppose.
We get up. I get up reluctantly.
Still sort of occasionally like jotting things down.
Yeah. I don't think Scarlett was particularly paying attention to what the guy said, and therefore wouldn't have made the logical leap that Daggerford did. So as far as she's aware, she's like, I'm just about to go to sleep. Meal. This is fine.
So as you make your way to the door, some of you more reluctantly than others, and Zini, as you keep watch from around the corner of the Lady Luck Tavern, you see the other Knights of the Birch jump off their horses, the figure on the back of one of the mounts still tied and hooded. And as they're moving away from the Lady Luck Tavern, one of them says, "Another ranger? This far out? They're dropping like flies. Someone's been smoking them out from forest doing our job for us. And it looks like," and they pull the hood off the individual, and you see slung over the back, conscious but very, very hurt, a familiar figure to all of you, but to you especially, Zini. It is the Tabaxi, the cat-like individual that you met in Voldhaven almost a month back now, Memphis, with the rope burn around his neck. And one of the knights picks up his head and just looks him in the eyes. "Well, it looks like you've had some experience with ropes before, so well, I say we finish the job, eh?" And they drag him off, and he slams against the ground, splatting in the mud, as one of them starts to pull from their pack a length of rope, and they start to drag him over towards the well.
Do we all see this, sorry, or is it just Zini?
They are not making a secret of this, and you can see that they are actually drawing a slightly concerned-looking crowd.
I was going to ask.
How many of them are there?
Around.
What, sorry?
How many of them are there?
There are 5 knights.
Oh, we can take them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I say to Daggerford.
Daggerford is already sort of on the same wavelength, just sort of smirks and then starts to sort of try to get to the front of the queue, but keeping the hood up.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll also try and be stealthy. How are they positioned? Is there any one of them slightly off? You know, like, can I pick them off?
So the 2 who left the tavern are sort of around 10 feet away from you, but the well itself is around 20 feet, and that is where the other 3 are sort of converging on.
I'll just nod at Daggerford, check that the other 2 have followed us, and then hood up, try to blend into the crowd and get as close to the actual center as possible.
Okay, make a stealth check for me in that case. So Zini, you see this happening, and you can see a crowd starting to gather around the edges of the market. And as they do so, you see a member of the militia stand forward and just say, "Look, for Tom's sake, there are children here." And one of the knights turns to them and just says, "Let him stay. See what happens when you cross the Knights of the Birch." And they start to put together a noose using the rope and slinging the loose part over the arch above the well.
Okay.
Can I get within 60 or 30 feet?
I mean, even just standing in the door, you are within that range.
I don't move. I stay.
Okay, whereabouts am I?
So if the market is before you and the Lady Luck Tavern is sort of on the edge of the market, you are just peeking round the side of the Lady Luck Tavern.
Okay.
For reference, I rolled a 1.
Okay. We'll see what Zini wants to do before we get to that.
As soon as the noose swings over, I shoot it with an arrow trying to sever it.
Okay, so make an attack roll for me. And as this happens, Terra, you are sort of trying to make your way through the crowd when all of a sudden a child just runs in front of you towards their mother. And in an attempt to dodge them, you slip on the mud and you sort of crash through a number of people, landing on the mud in the middle of the marketplace, drawing a couple of strange looks, and you can see one of the knights just turn to you and just and then turn back towards the noose. Zini, what did you roll?
I've not rolled yet. I have a very weird question.
Okay, I like weird questions.
I'm hidden,
Yes.
and I'm attacking a rope.
Yes.
Do I get advantage on the attack because I'm
rope
hidden?
doesn't see-
Or
I mean, I'll say yes also because it's not a moving, living thing.
Thank you.
So, yes.
I assume, like, it's if the guards could see me, they'd throw the rope in such a way that it'd dodge the arrow, maybe? I don't really,
No, that scans, yeah.
I'm just trying to persuade myself more than you because you've already said yes. Okay, that's pretty good on the first one. It's pretty good. I mean, I rolled the same thing, so I didn't need it. That's 24 again.
So, as Terra, you splat into the mud, and it doesn't make much of a difference. It just sort of makes your dried earthen skin sort of a little wetter. But there is a whoosh as an arrow just flies over the heads of the knights, twanging through the rope and landing on the other side. A couple of people sort of in the crowd sort of duck as it just against the other side of the market. And the knights just turn in your direction, one of them still holding Memphis by the scruff of the neck. Who the hell did that?
I did.
And who the fuck are you?
The one who's about to cross the Knights of the Birch. Again.
Again? It's my fine words.
Do you remember Geshfort?
Mate, I'm from Geshfort.
Well, you were.
What the fuck do you mean?
I shoot him.
Okay, make an attack roll.
That's 17 again, so it's 24.
That hits, roll for damage.
And that's a 7, so 11.
Almost sort of without even moving, Zini just and it just slams into his shoulder and he just and he just topples backwards into the well, and there is a as there is just a splash. What are the rest of you doing?
Okay, so quick point of orientation. Since they're looking to Zini,
They are looking to your left.
to my left, so I can walk calmly to the right behind them without being seen.
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
I would like to do that and just get as close to Memphis as I can.
Okay, I'd say make a
Kind
stealth check for me, and then I suspect we're probably going to start on initiative.
That means I have to spend movement to stand up.
I'd say during this interaction, you have probably sort of picked yourself up a little bit.
You're just swimming in the mud.
Stealth is 11, and I would like also to put just hide the bottom part of my face if I can with like my beard or whatever.
Okay, so you sort of merge forward. They are very distracted by this new arrival, but you're able to get round sort of near to where Terra is currently sort of off the ground. Unless there's anything anyone wants to do before combat, I think it's time that we roll initiative.
Yay!
So, 25 to 20. Yep.
Oh, guys, come on. 20.
You expect.
How do you expect better by now?
20 to 15. Yep.
That's not too bad.
What? This never happened.
What did you get?
I got
18.
19.
Okay, and then 15 to 10. Yep.
12.
13.
Okay.
Oh, I need to roll for... Well, Rodigan's in the stables, so he won't see this. That's fine.
Lovely.
You blow the rhino signal.
The horn of Rodigan.
You could roll for him and then just role play his dinner.
Yeah.
But you get 6 seconds every round to do that.
So, initiative order, it is Zini, then it is Scarlet, then Oriana, then it is the Knights of the Birch, then it is Dalafar, and then it is Terra. So, top of the round, Zini, what are you doing?
Okay, can I shoot the one that is holding Memphis?
Absolutely, roll to attack.
Oh, that's not as good. That's a 12.
That does not hit, I'm afraid. So.
I shoot him again.
Okay,
That's slightly better, 15.
that just misses, I'm afraid.
Ooh.
As your two bolts just fly loose, twanging into the iron arch that is above the well. And you can see that they are looking a little perturbed, and everyone in the crowd is starting to get a little bit restless as well. Is there anything else you want to do on your turn?
Can I try and get a better vantage point so I'm at less risk of hitting the crowd? Is there something to climb on, or?
I mean,
a
all
higher
around the
point?
marketplace there are buildings, so you can try and climb one of those if you'd like.
I'll try.
So roll a... roll
That's not gone
athletics.
well in the past. Come on. That is an 11.
So running over towards one of the nearby buildings, as you're sort of shooting at the same time, you dig one of your claws directly into the wall and you start to just... It takes you a little bit longer than you would perhaps like, and when you arrive to the top of the building, you are, I will say, considered prone, as you just bring yourself up to the top. But you now have a clear view of the entire marketplace. Is there anything else you want to do?
No, that's it. That's all I can do.
Lovely. So Scarlet, your turn.
Cool, so I am still 30 feet within everything occurring, right?
You are, yes.
Nice. I would like to cast Reduce on the Knight of the Birch that is trying to hold Memphis.
Okay.
Make a Constitution saving throw for me.
Absolutely can. He can absolutely fail as well.
Well, I mean, the DC is 15, so
yeah,
he's about half the size and 1/8 the weight.
Okay.
So I'm just saying he might not do a great job.
So as Scarlet sort of leans against the door frame and just sort of fairly nonchalantly wave your wooden spoon in the direction of the well, the one that is holding Memphis is looking around saying, "Right, you lot, get him, and you should get her, and then, and you can see Memphis slowly beginning to sink down to the ground. Even though he's wounded, you can see his cat-like eyes sort of flicking from side to side, not really sure what's going on. But the Knight of the Birch is now considered very, very small. So
You are,
yeah.
So how,
you are
how many of
considered
them were
small.
there? How many of them were there?
So there are 4 in total. One of them is around half the size now.
Okay.
Yes, and if he attacks, you have to take 1d4 off the damage.
Lovely. I will add
Really
that.
good.
Okay,
spell.
so is there anything else you want to do, Scarlet?
No, I think I'm just going to chill for a bit.
As you do, Juliet comes over and sits next to you and sort of paws at you a bit, wanting
Oh yeah, as a
attention.
bonus action, I scratch her. Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
So, Oriana, what are you doing?
Okie dokie. Whichever one is closest to me.
So there are around 2. They're the ones who exited the tavern first of all, but there are 2 of them sort of within reach of you.
Yeah, why not? I'll go for one of them. Doesn't matter which one.
Okay, lovely.
And as my bonus action, I'll cast Vow of Enmity so that I have advantage against him
Okay.
or her.
It is a him. All of these
okay.
knights are Yeah, all men.
Okay. And then I will...
Nice the birch, innit?
Yeah. Toxic masculinity.
Basically, yeah.
I'll make my first attack, and I will also cast Thunderous Smite alongside it.
Lovely. Okay, roll to attack.
No mercy then.
Natural 20.
Okay.
Twice as much. How exciting!
Roll for damage.
Okay. So that is 6 plus 4 is 7. So that's gone.
You cast Vow of Enmity as a bonus action. You can't cast Thunderous Smite because that's a bonus action as well.
Is it?
Can you do Divine Smite as a paladin without using a bonus
Oh
action?
no, wait, you're so right. Oh my god. Okay. I can do Divine Smite.
Yeah,
I
you can do that instead.
Okay, can I do Divine Smite instead?
You can. I'll allow that. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Forgive us, internet. It's been months.
Yeah, literally. Okay, in that case, I'm going to use Divine Smite as a level 2 spell because this is going to be. Oh man, this is going to be so harsh. Allow me to just remind myself. Okay, so the normal attack was 7. So
Okay.
do you times that by 2?
Yeah. I mean, I'm already telling you now. You don't need that divine smite, but you can roll for the damage anyway.
Let's go for it anyway. So that'll be a 3d8. Where is my d8? Should have got this prepared. Got it. Okay. So that is 13.
Yeah, you double that as well.
And you double that as well.
Double that.
Yeah,
as
you
well,
double any dice rolled.
And that's my first attack. But fortunately, I can move over. Oh, actually, do you know what I'll do instead? For my second attack, anytime, Great Weapon Master allows me to, when I score a critical hit, or when I reduce a creature to 0 hit points, I can make an additional melee weapon attack as a bonus action.
So as the one next to him all but disintegrates, as Oriana literally smashes the patriarchy, she turns, her white eyes gleaming, as this guy just looks at you and goes, oh no. So make your second attack.
Wasn't the bonus? Did you not use a bonus action for the?
No, but you get an additional bonus action with Great Weapon Master every time you reduce anytime you make a critical hit or reduce a creature to 0 hit points. So this is my second attack, not the bonus one.
Okay.
And that's not going to hit because that's only a 9.
Okay.
So I'll do my bonus attack now. And that's an 11, so...
Neither of them hit as you sort of bring up your blood-soaked maul and just... And he's just like, oh no. And he just ducks away, and as your fairly spiked and very heavy maul just... into the mud, just bringing up geysers of brown liquid as he just... Okay. Is there anything else you want to do on your turn?
No. I would just like to glare at that guy menacingly because I have so much pent-up anger from my encounter with my nemesis.
Okay. Make an intimidation check for me real quick.
Oh,
It's a
heck
free
yeah.
action.
So that is a 16.
16. You just glare at him and he looks at you and just starts to like skitter off. He trips over his tabard into the mud, his white and black tabard just sort of smeared in mud. And he looks up with a face and just sort of scrambles away and runs towards the crowd in the direction of the gatehouse. He is running away, leaving only 2 of them next to the well. One of them looking at his much decreased companion as he just looks and goes, "What are you waiting for? Get down!" And the full-size one runs towards, I will say, will run towards you, Oriana. and entirely miss you. Brings up his sword, and again, the floor is very slippery as he just, and he has to regain balance a bit as you just dodge to one side as the blade swings across your head, and you just stand back up, glaring back at him. The tiny one is going to... he's going to start running forward as he runs through and starts to try and push through the crowd until he sees you, Scarlet. And he can't quite get to you. His movement doesn't allow for that. But as he looks at you, he just... Wait a minute. I love you! And that's all they're going to be able to do. Dalafar, it is your turn.
Okay. Dalafar looks a little bit perturbed that Oriana is now sort of trying to encroach on his area of expertise. So.
Oh my God, Dalafar's Star-Lord. Guns were my thing and swords were yours, but okay.
Are you copying me? Okay, so which one is closest to me?
So the one that tried to attack Oriana.
The one that tried to attack Oriana. Okay, I am going to. Okay, let's do this. What I'm going to do first, I think what I'm going to do, because I get 2 attacks per turn, what I'm going to do is use Action Surge.
Okay.
Which means can push yourself beyond your normal minutes for one turn, which means I will get effectively 4 attacks.
Okay.
And I think it's 2 bonus actions, because obviously it would be the first two attacks and a bonus action, then another 2 attacks and bonus action, I believe it is.
Well, with Oriana there, you are technically flanking him as well, so all of your many attacks are at advantage as well. So, roll to attack.
Okay, so first attack is +8. That'll be a 17.
That just hits. Roll for damage.
It's 1d8. Okay, that's a d10. Don't do that one. So that is 7.
Okay.
And my second attack. It is an 11.
Okay, that doesn't hit, I'm afraid.
Okay, so the first hit was a 7, wasn't it? Okay, then I attack a 3rd time.
Okay.
What can I do for a bonus action, actually? No, I think that'll be fine. I think I'll just straight attacks.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So 3rd attack is another 17.
That hits. Roll for damage.
What did I do that for? Because I get advantage, I can re-roll the second one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Shall we use that one as my second roll then? So then I don't have to re-roll. So that's a 17 for this one.
17. Yep. No, that's fine.
Okay. Plus an attack is +5. That's 9
points of damage.
Yes.
Out for the count as you just bring your blade down once, twice, as this poor man just like down into the mud, and the light just goes from his eyes. There is now only the tiny one left, and he is looking around very, very frantically and very scared.
Is he within walking distance? Because I still can do 2 attacks.
He is within walking distance. Yes.
I'd like to go over to him, please.
Okay. Roll to attack.
Just
as
sort of,
you loom over him.
Just strutting, a dwarf looming everyone. That's a first. So yeah, I just sort of strut with the sort of tapping my axe against the shield as I walk over. And the first attack, 26.
Okay, yeah, that hits. Roll for damage.
That is a 6 points of damage.
6 points of damage, okay.
And then this one is not flanked in any way, shape, or form.
No.
Okay. So my 4th attack, which is 15.
15, that doesn't hit, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Okay. So, is that everything you're doing with your turn?
And I would just like to sort of leer down at him menacingly, please.
Okay, you can make an intimidation check as well. Terra, what are you doing as we move to your turn?
So I've just stood up from the mud.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't got any weapons out, so I'll look over and see what Dalvar's doing, and then take out my crossbow and just try and get this little guy.
Okay, so what did you roll, Dalafar?
12.
12. You look at this individual who is definitely very, very scared, but despite his, at this point, very diminutive stature, he holds his ground and scowls at you nonetheless with a little... Terra, if you'd like to roll your attack.
Is there advantage for this or not?
No, unfortunately.
13.
13 does not hit, I'm
Should have
afraid.
just run up with my sword. Oh well.
So as you bring your crossbow up, there is a bolt that flies past the individual, and he just looks around, and then as he's looking up at all of you, he suddenly realizes that he is alone as the bolt just sticks out of the ground. He is looking very, very scared. Zini, top of the round, it's your go, unless there's anything else you wanted to do, Tara?
Can I just shrug and huff and put my crossbow back? Like, why do I even try?
Yeah, it's just from behind you all as she just sort of
And
starts
I'll
to...
replace it with the sword, but probably not till I go.
Okay, so Zini, what are you doing? As you look down and your friends have made swift work of the individuals down below.
Okay, can I stand up, because I'm prone, aren't I?
Mhm.
So I'll use half my movement to stand up on the roof.
Yep.
And then fire 2 arrows at the little guy.
Okay, roll to attack.
That's a 26.
Yeah, that hits. Roll for damage.
That is an 8 plus 4, so 12.
How would you like to dispose of the last knight?
As he's looking at Dalafar and giving him a scowl, and then suddenly realizes that he's a little bit more outnumbered than he was a few seconds ago, I'd just like the bolt to just whip across his neck, the arrow, and just take out his jugular.
He just... And Dalafar standing above him, you just hear this high-pitched... as he just falls to the ground. And the crowd all around just stand in silence, looking at all of you and at the bodies on the ground. And then slowly, murmuring, start to go about their day and close up shop. Admittedly, quite hurriedly now, but they are starting to get ready to go inside.
What's Zini's friend doing?
Memphis is still lying on the ground. His wrists are bound and his black and white fur is stained with mud.
I go over to Memphis and cut his bonds.
Okay, what's everyone else doing?
I clamber down.
Okay. Dalafar, as you cut his bonds, you see Memphis just stir and his cat-like face looking up at you. It is swollen and bloodied and bruised, even underneath his fur. I know you.
Quiet, you are hurt. And I look over at Oriana and say, can you heal him?
I approach and would like to use a lay on hands. And allow me to remind myself of exactly what that does.
I think you just have a pool, don't you?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
how
it
big
is.
your
I think
pool is.
it's 5 times my level. So any math junior says if you could work out 5 times 7, that'd be great. Please.
I think it's 5 times 8 now. I think you're 8th level.
Yeah.
Oh, 8! 5 times 8!
Yeah,
Be
so
40.
40, yeah. Let's go with that. Because, I'll sleep and it'll refresh, it's fine.
Yeah, just you wait with like a dragon will attack.
So, Zini, as you clamber down and you see Dalafar cutting the bonds of Memphis, you see Oriana walking over, placing her hands upon his chest, and a soft purple glow emanating from her hands as you see Memphis breathe in and his bruises are still there. They are slowly deflating. It's very odd, but he is looking a little better as he lies on the ground. What are you all doing here?
Apparently helping you out of a bad situation. Can you stand?
Yes, I might need some help.
I helped him up. What are you doing here?
Is Zini with you?
She is.
I walk up.
Zini.
I know, Memphis.
Zini. The black and white dragon. He's coming for you. And that is where we will end tonight's session. So, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us for our very first episode back for season 2. We will see you next week with any luck. But it's been wonderful doing this again. It's been really wonderful playing with all of you again. God, I've missed this so much. As ever, follow us on Twitch, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that lovely stuff. We would love to interact with you and to grow our office even more than the amount of lovely people that already exist within it. But in the meantime, we will see you next week. Stay safe, and we love you very much. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.